What's up, y'all? Robin Lundberg back with you once again. I was going to take a mental health day today, to be honest with you. I've done a lot of shows and obviously done some shows under less than ideal circumstances, I suppose, is a good way to put it. I did the show on, what was it, Friday? The whole, like, a job does not define me and breaking down in front of you guys. And I'm really glad I did that because I had so many people reach out to me and sort of rally around me. And when I get this show up and running as a podcast, which I have in the process of happening, that will be the first episode. So I will start from that episode, and then henceforth, the episodes will be podcasted in that regard as an audio download as well, because I want to reach you guys wherever you're at. And I know a lot of you guys are finding me here on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, what have you. If you're watching the shorts, those do really well for me. I've gotten really good at those. So I appreciate that. But I was going to take a mental health day. And then I'm seeing some nonsense on the timeline. And also, we're in the midst of a very unique time where we are seeing records set out there when it comes to ratings and Caitlin Clark and the women's game. And let me tell you a little story real quick before I put up that number, because the number only backs up what we already knew. The number only backs up what was pretty obvious to everybody. But I hung out with an old friend last night. Some of you probably know him. I don't know. He hasn't wanted his business put out there, so I'm not putting his business out there. Other than the fact that you put two and two together. We used to work together. We hung out last night. He hits me up, or we were talking and saying, "Do you want to come over for the game?" And think about that for a second. Do you want to come over for the game? Do you want to get together and watch the game? Well, what game are we talking about? What game could we be discussing? Well, you know what game. Iowa and LSU. Women's college basketball. That was the game. That was the game. And not because we were obligated to do so, not because it was like a quota to be met. We were joking about it because I've seen Gino Auriemma now, right? Like, Gino Auriemma's up there because Connecticut's going to play Iowa next. And the only people you used to know in college basketball were Gino Auriemma and Pat Summitt. Gino Auriemma and Pat Summitt. That's it. That's all. Beyond that, there was nobody else to know in women's college basketball. But things just ain't the same for gangsters. And the game, we're getting together to watch the game. Guys, no gals involved. Now, gals would be welcome, of course. My daughter Ronnie's still out of town. I would want her to watch the game. We're not excluding anyone. But the act of, guys, let's get together and watch the game, I had never in my life experienced that being around a women's sporting event. Maybe in the World Cup, when the ladies did so well in the World Cup. But, that's a very rare event. Like, this is different. This is different. And it was backed up by the numbers. It was backed up by the numbers. It did more viewers than the World Series, than the NBA Finals, than a bunch of other marquee events, college bowl games. 12.3 million viewers. The most ever for a women's college basketball game. But not just that's relativism to say the most ever for a women's college basketball game. The most ever for a women's college basketball game that also happened to do better than the NBA Finals or the World Series or some of the biggest sporting events you can realize or imagine. And that was backed up by, I'm telling you, we got together to watch the game. And it was women's game. It was women's game. And shout out to Ryan Rucco. Let me see if I can search his name here and see if there's anything that pops up. We texted a little bit earlier today. Here, let me play a call from his broadcast last night because I'm proud of him. We worked together, and he always wanted to be a play-by-play guy, and now he's getting to call historic games.
Here we go, second half action in Albany. A trip to the Final Four at stake. Clark was trying to redirect a pass. Clark, oh my, from Schenectady.
I don't know where that is that he's referencing, but it's far away. You get the point. And I'm really proud of him. So if he sees this or if he, I'll send it to him later. But to be able to do that, like he was a part of history. And that's really cool. Like I'm thinking about how do I become a part of this, right? I'm carving out some lanes for myself. You see the wrestling belt there, going to WrestleMania. That probably I'll do one more episode probably this week. I'm gonna guess something WrestleMania related. Maybe I'll see if I can get a guest on to talk some wrestling with me. And I'm excited. That's the other topic I'm going to talk about on today's show too, because I'm really excited about doing wrestling coverage and talking wrestling and all that stuff. And it's been something that's been fun for me, and I think could be a new career move for me as well. But one of the other things I'm looking at is women's basketball, because this is the moment in time. They say a rising tide lifts all boats. But the tide has risen here. And I'm a hoops head. I'm a basketball fan. Like, I love the sport. I've played it my whole life. I'm playing tomorrow night, as I do every Wednesday night. Playing ball. Hooping. I coach it. I love it. And that's the thing about Caitlin Clark that is so dynamic. She's gotten there based on the fact that she's nice. She's the best. She's just nice. There's no other factors. Everybody keeps trying to throw their bullshit into the equation. It's no other bullshit. It's because she's the best. That's it. And when people say, well, no, you can't say she's the best. That's other part. Bullshit. That's the bullshit. She's the best. She's the best. It's okay. There's no diss. There's no diss to say Caitlin Clark's the best women's player of all time. Forget college player. She's the best women's player I've ever seen in my life. As somebody who loves basketball, watches basketball, and has respect, I don't disrespect the greats that have come before. Diana Taurasi, so much sauce. Sue Bird, nasty, get to her spots, pull up, boom, dot your I's. Obviously, with you can go back to Cheryl Miller and Swoops. Maya Moore in college. Like, they're Brianna Stewart now. They are great players. She is the nicest. That's why. That's why everybody loves her. There's no other reason. People keep trying to make it about some other shit. It's not about anything but the fact that she's the best. And it's clear. And everybody keeps saying, she's the Steph Curry, she's the Steph Curry, she's the Steph. No, she's not. She's the Michael Jordan. She's not the Steph Curry. She's the Michael Jordan. Because Steph Curry changed the sport. There's no question. With his shooting, he changed the sport. You could argue for the worse. Not his fault. What are you going to do? You can't stop him. It's so funny, like when you everybody talks about how defense is worse nowadays. I don't think so. It's just impossible to stop offenses with the way these guys can shoot. With the way people like Steph Curry could shoot. What are you supposed to do with that? How are you supposed to handle it? How are you supposed to contend with it? You can't. So, yes, in that sense, Caitlin Clark is the Steph Curry of basketball, of women's basketball. But first of all, that's not the only facet of her game, right? Not the only facet of her game. You also have how she is able to move the ball up the court. She throws outlet passes like Jason Kidd. She's got some like herky-jerk, keep her dribble alive action like Steve Nash. So she's got part of these people in her game. And I'm not saying she plays like Michael Jordan. Obviously, Michael Jordan came into the league and he was different. The way he hung in the air, up and under, all that stuff. That was different. And in many ways, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson ran so Michael Jordan could fly. Because the NBA was on tape delay when those guys were coming in, and they elevated it. But Michael Jordan finished the lob off the elevation. And Michael Jordan became a cultural phenomenon. And he still is a cult. I believe that LeBron James is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. I believe that. It's okay. I'm not here to have a GOAT debate. Really, I'm not saying that to stir people up. That's what I believe. But that does not mean I lose sight of who Michael Jordan was and what Michael Jordan meant. Michael Jordan was different. He was different. In fact, one reason the GOAT debate is so fervent and so hyped right now is because of what Michael Jordan meant. People can't let go of the idea that anybody could be put in the same sentence as Michael Jordan because they lived through Michael Jordan. They came up with Michael Jordan when he took over the culture. And I'll always be thankful for Michael Jordan for The Last Dance, because when The Last Dance came out was right when COVID had started. I was at SI, and we were in the midst of management that wanted us to pump out as many stories, as many videos as possible. The mandate was like 20 videos a day, each with a 20-point checklist. It was wild. And I was doing aside from all these interviews, I was doing with what were called mavens at the time, sports-specific sites. It's now Fan Nation. But I was doing all these interviews, and then I was also doing 2 original pieces of content a day when there was no sports. And The Last Dance put the battery in the back of that. The Last Dance allowed me to do that because I could just talk about era conversations based on the energy from Michael Jordan. And it's then when you go, oh my gosh, this guy really did. I mean, not that I didn't already know it. I already knew it. I lived through it. But this guy really has a grip on society. Like Mike. I mean, it's a real thing. And that's what we're seeing with Caitlin Clark right now. She is a transformative figure. She is changing the sport. Women's basketball is a thing from here on out. Not just at the college level, not just Friday night, right? It's Friday when she goes against Paige Beckers and UConn. And that'll be a great game. That'll be a great game. And Paige is nice too. Paige is nice. A lot of these girls, obviously Juju, nice. Angel Reese, different kind of game. Angel Reese what's funny is Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark would make great teammates. Their games would mesh very well because Reese is not the ball handler. Reese is not the one making things happen. Reese would rebound, put back, all that stuff. But for all this garbage that people are putting out into the universe about Caitlin Clark and how, okay, well, Caitlin Clark is only this because of that or only this because of that. Nonsense. Caitlin Clark is this because she can hoop. It's like basketball purity. It's sports purity, really. It's beautiful. She didn't need nothing else. And it ain't because she's white. I see people, it ain't because she's white. It's because she's nice. Eminem, white rapper. We're aware of this, right? You guys are aware? Eminem's a white rapper. White rapper from Detroit. Anyhow, did Eminem become more famous because he was white? Yes. And even more so than basketball. Rap predominantly has been dominated by black men, even on the female side, black females, and a white guy was different. And of course, you did have a lot of white fans who didn't listen to rap otherwise latch on to Eminem, not necessarily because they're racist, but because of relatability or whatever the case may be. There's a myriad of factors. I'm not having a race debate. That's not what I'm trying to do. But Eminem became bigger because he was white. I think he would tell you that. It was harder for him to break in because he was white, but he became bigger because he was white. But he never would have gotten there if he wasn't nice. Right? Head to head, Jay-Z's my favorite rapper of all time. Eminem got him on Renegade. Now, I don't think it's a murdered him on his own ish kind of situation, but he got him. He got him on Renegade. White Boy Blossom, after Dre endorsed him, is flowing Renegade, fucking awesome. But Eminem got Kanye and Drake and all them dudes on Forever, and a lot of people on a lot of tracks that he was on. And to this day, I don't think you can make a reasonable argument against Eminem I really think you have to have Eminem as a top 5 rapper of all time if you're being real about it. But, did the white thing help him to a certain extent? Yes, but he got there because he was nice. This is different because it's not even as if Caitlin Clark's peers were big. And then she came in and she was standing out in a field where she generally wouldn't stand out. Because it's not like, she was coming in. Because when Eminem's coming in, you already had Snoop. You already had Hove. You already had Nas, Biggie, Pac. On and on down the line. Big, massive stars. Woo. Big, massive stars. Caitlyn, that wasn't the case. No offense to any of the women who have come before, Trailblazers. But she didn't come in and you're looking here and you're looking there and there's these already established figures. She's the one. So I don't even think skin color had anything to do with it. Really. Could it make it more marketable to certain people? I guess. That's always, I guess. But I really don't think that's what did it for her. Brought to you by Polar Seltzer. It's not because she's white. It's because she's nice. It's not because of photo shoots. It's because she can hoop. And I don't say that as a slight to Angel Reese or anything. Angel Reese is a charismatic young lady. I wish her the best. She looked a little down in the dumps after that game last night. She's coming off a national championship. She's going to be just fine. She's a good player too. She's not Caitlyn as a player. It's pretty clear. But she's a darn good player. She's a darn good player. And she is very camera friendly. Right? Angel Reese can make a living as a basketball player, and who wouldn't want to see her on camera? Not just for looks or anything like that. That's part of it. But her personality. She's got a big personality. And she's charismatic. That's the word for it. She's charismatic. But Caitlin Clark ain't that. She's not boring, but she doesn't have that natural charisma as a personality. She's just a stone cold killer on the court. And that's what made her famous. Simple as that. And people who don't want to call her the greatest or whatever they're just hating. They're just hating. She's white. She's getting this attention. No. That's not why. She's not the best. All these other people. No. She is. And she's not going to do it at the WM. Yes, she is. She's going to do it at WNBA level too. Because she's better than everybody else. That's why. You know, when Michael Jordan came into basketball, into the NBA, as good as Larry Bird was, he said, you know, that's not Michael Jordan, that's God playing basketball, or some version of that quote. And that's what you got to recognize with Caitlin Clark. And she's going to lift the game as a whole. Like, again, Paige Beckers is nasty too. That's going to be a great showdown. Maybe Paige is up next. But this renaissance is happening because of Caitlin Clark. And yes, I do believe it's going to keep up after Caitlin Clark leaves. Because it's already brought the attention. One, Caitlin Clark is going to go to the WNBA and bring the WNBA up. Bring the WNBA up. That league is already doing well. It's already trending well. I talked about Sabrina Ionescu and what she's done. You know, what she did with Steph Curry. That was cool. Very cool. And the WNBA's been trending up. I'm happy for the league. I'm happy for the league. You know, there's been plenty of great hoopers. I'm not sure. Don't get it twisted. Again, I want to go back and be very careful about that. I do not prop up Caitlin Clark to tear down who came before. Diana Taurasi was my favorite. So much sauce. So much sauce. Sue Bird. Nice. You can list them off. But ain't none of them as good as Caitlin is. And that's the truth. That's the truth of the matter. It ain't about anything else with her. It's just like, holy shit, this chick can ball. And she's not Steph Curry. She's Steph Curry in the sense of where she's pulling up from. And that does make her different. Don't get me wrong. I understand the comparison. But the more apt one is Michael Jordan. Because the second Caitlin Clark exploded on the scene, women's basketball was never going to be the same again. Just like the NBA was never the same after Michael Jordan entered it. Ernesto says, plain and simple, the WNBA should get money from the NBA. They have to start investing in these ladies, plain and simple. Look, here's the thing about it. Whenever you get to these money situations, the cold hard reality is the revenue needs to be there, right? Like, why do WNBA players not make as much money as NBA players? There's not as much revenue. It's not a unfair thing. But this is the kind of thing that can change that. And you see the numbers. If those numbers carry over, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. But if there's a bump like that because of Caitlin Clark into the WNBA, and the WNBA is already rising, more money is going to come into the league. More tickets are going to be sold. The TV rights deal is going to go up. And the women are going to get paid more. Simple as that. It doesn't really need all this, like these think pieces. Simple as that. And look, I'm thinking about how I can be a part of it. I mean, sort of selfishly and excitedly. Like, sort of, I mean, I'll be real with you, sort of selfishly because I see a moment. Like, oh, wow, how do I jump on that bandwagon while it's speeding down the highway? But at the same time, I love basketball. And it's cool. And it would be exciting. So I'm not saying like I'm doing anything cheap or who knows if that's even going to happen. It's just something I've thought about in the last few days, specifically. But regardless, talking about it here. My boy Ali had said that he was going to watch the Knicks, but then he changed his mind. So appreciate that, buddy. Keep the comments coming in. Doug, the developer, says, I remember in 1998, there was a WNBA Barbie commercial featuring girls looking up to Rebecca Lobo. It was nice, but needless to say, it didn't catch on. Caitlin Clark is definitely here to say, look, Rebecca Lobo, a very good player too, but her game didn't inspire anybody. And I mean, neither did Tim Duncan's. So I don't want to say that to come across the wrong way. But her game didn't inspire anybody. Nobody's like, oh shit, look at Rebecca Lobo play. Versus Caitlin Clark, you're like, oh! It is what it is. I'm telling you, like a group of guys. Last night I was with a group of guys. It was me and two other guys. Hey, you want to come over to watch the game? What game? The women's freaking game. Duh. I'd never in my life. That's never in my life happened to me. That's a unique thing. It's very cool. It's a unique moment in time. It's worth appreciating. Kevin Zwicker, if you would have told me 5 years ago the general public would be excited for a college women's basketball game, I'd say you're crazy. Yeah. I would agree with you. But you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You know what's interesting? While I'm figuring out, the channel and would you guys like, do you like when I hit all the topics in one episode, or would you like separate episodes on separate topics where it's like the episode is itself on one topic, like this one would be on Caitlin Clark, and then tomorrow I do WrestleMania? Or do you like when I hit the main topic off the top, say what I got to say about that, and then move through lesser topics, not lesser topics, but not the lead topic of the day throughout the course of the show? Let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments or later. I said since the genesis of this show, you guys would be program directors. So it's worth at least exploring, getting your thoughts. AJ Schreiber, last night's NCAA women's games were great. Don't sleep on Paige Beckers. She's player of the year during for good to see her back then. Yeah, look, I agree. I'm not sleeping on her. I mean, Iowa better not sleep on her. She's great. She's great too. But yeah, I mean, Caitlin's just different. And Paige is, Paige has some of that in her game too. She hit in some tough shots last night. But when I say the Michael Jordan thing, it's like everybody keeps comparing Caitlin Clark to Steph Curry. And I do think she's more Michael Jordan. Robin, you're doing fine. Being you and you're covering all the topics that you're interested in. Okay, cool. I just want to serve you. I was still going to cover them all. I just didn't know if you liked them better, if people would dig them in like separate installments or all in one. It's good to know. It's good to know. The Knicks are playing. What are they doing, guys? Let me know what they're... It's, the NBA season in April, it's kind of like... everybody's just waiting for the playoffs, or the teams that aren't going to make the playoffs are waiting on vacation. Kevin says, I like it when you hit all, because usually one big story happens, all the things... okay. All right, cool. Gonna keep doing it. Gonna keep rocking that way. I'm late, but do we still think Clark would have won without the Reese injury? Not hating, but curious if Iowa can win at all. Maybe. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters if she wins it all, to be honest with you. The only people it matters to if she wins it all are the people who are trying to hate on her already, like with an agenda. You know what I'm saying? Like, because then they can go, oh, she didn't win that. She's not this. She got to go. She didn't win the title, you see? It's like working results backwards. When everybody's seen it, you've seen it, we know it, it's obvious. You watched her play last night, putting Haley Van Lith in a blender over and over again. Poor Haley. Head's still spinning this morning. Oh, I wasn't mocking you, by the way. I just was talking about, what people would say. I know you didn't mean anything I know you weren't trying to hate on her. I personally don't think it matters whether she wins or not. Iowa would not be in the mix that they're in if she wasn't around, right? Iowa wouldn't be. We wouldn't be talking about them at all. She wanted to go to Connecticut. Danny says you could do a mix of topics or days where you focus. Well, look, I mean, today there's one. This is what compelled me. Again, I'm telling you guys the honest truth because I'm as honest with you as I can possibly be. I was gonna do a mental health day today. I was on the verge. It was not like a Friday show where I was like, really breaking down. But I was feeling it a little bit today. I've gotten you have when something like what I'm going through happens, you have those emotional waves. You have those emotional waves where you can have this period of time where it's like, nothing can stop me. I am unstoppable. It doesn't matter what happened. I'm going to conquer the day. And you have little things that happen to you that make you say, okay, everything's going to be all right. And I had one of those days yesterday. And today I had one of those days where it was like, oh, yeah, you got a road to climb here, buddy. And where your mind starts like thinking about what happens if this happens, what happens if this doesn't happen, what happens if we get to this point, those kind of things that we all go through. So I was feeling almost a little bit today, like I needed to just like let myself feel and let myself recover a little bit. And then again, unlike the other day where I'm laying in the bed and I peeled myself up out of the bed and I got down here and I poured my heart out to you. I did think to myself, all right, I could call it quits for the day. And then I see the record that Caitlin Clark set. And I remembered I hung out with people watching that game last night. And I was like, get your ass to the computer. Fire up the damn show. You enjoy this anyway. You're going to feel better after you do it anyway, you dumb son of a, I shouldn't have those negative messages for myself. You know what I mean? So, hence I'm here. Anyhow, please like, subscribe to the channel, comment, share, all those things. The shrug was classic. Was that when I was referencing what you had said about Caitlin Clark winning? But yeah, Caitlin Clark is the Michael Jordan of women's basketball. And women's basketball will never be the same as a result of what she has accomplished and what she has done. It's really something. It really is. All right. The only other topic I had on the rundown for today was from last night's Raw too. Because I got home pretty late last night. Later than I normally do. And I saw the whipping of Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes by The Rock and Roman Reigns. And it was really well done. I mean, the way that they've sold this tag match, by the way, talking about history with Caitlin Clark, some history set on Raw last night. The way that they sold this tag match it's got to be the best pivot I've ever seen. As The Rock said, ladies and gentlemen, we made history last night in Brooklyn, New York, the highest selling Raw in U.S. history. Enjoy the ride, the final boss. I like when he tells the crowd, you shut up and enjoy the ride The Rock is taking you on. This dude's in a new prime. He's killing it. Rocky's killing it. He really is. And that tag match feels like the main event of WrestleMania right now. Roman and Rock, Seth and Cody. And they've really turned Cody into a baby face. The things that Cody is going to have to overcome in order to win, if he does indeed win. I'm probably going to have to cut this out of the show for anybody who watches later, but I'm going to play it on the live version. Oh!
This may be the final stand
And I was
Cody
watching
Rhodes
this.
and Seth Rollins.
Remember when I was watching that, I was telling you who I was, or that I was watching the game with people last night. I was watching it and I showed them that for a second. They're like, hey, it looks like he really whipped him. I was like, because he did. That's why wrestlers don't like it when you call it fake. Because it might be predetermined, it might be dramatized, and not legitimate competition, but very real beatings that people take, very real punishment that people take. And that tag match, to me, is, I guess, the Infinity War, right? The Infinity War to Night 2's Endgame, where I think you'll see the bad guys, if you will, win the first night. And as it happened in Infinity War, obviously, most people have seen Infinity War, I would hope by now. And I think you'll see the bad guys win that match. Let me see if I can. There we go. Sorry, that's off the WWE's official website right there. Is it still small, or did it show up in full screen? Either way, you get the point. Why is it still small? There we go. Full screen. It's not working right now. Anyhow, that tag match, to me, will be where the bad guys win. I think you'll see Roman and Rock win on night one. I think you'll see Roman and Rock win on night one, because that way, even if Cody wins, the level of adversity he'll have to overcome is going to be something else. It's going to be a tremendous level of adversity for him to overcome. And I think it would make his win even sweeter. So I think either Rock or Roman is pinning Cody on night one. That's my prediction. Cody eats the pin on night one. I don't think Seth can eat the pin, because I think Seth's losing his title one way or the other, either to Drew McIntyre or, Damian Priest via cash-in. I haven't seen the whole episode yet. Damian Priest didn't cash in last night, and I missed it, right? Yeah, so I think that would be how it goes down. But I think Seth is probably losing his title. So I think it would be bad to have Seth lose both nights. So I think you get Cody eating the pin night one, Cody overcoming the bloodline rules night two. What are you going to do in the hip hop space? That's true. I make a whole bunch of videos in the hip hop space. I talk hip hop here. What do you want me to talk about hip hop today? I'll get a hip hop. I used the whole Eminem analogy off the top of the show about Caitlin Clark. I think you missed it. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of vids, and they do well. The shorts I do on hip hop do really, really well. So I don't know. I mean, it's part of my wheelhouse. Again, my wheelhouse is kind of basketball, wrestling, rap, and superheroes, I would say. I think that's a pretty fair self-assessment of my wheelhouse. And those are the ones that I've been hitting. But if there's not really a great hip-hop topic today, unless I'm missing something. So let me know if there is one. Talk about the diddler. I don't know what to say about him, man. I mean, I'm just glad I don't love Puff's music. That would make it harder. Because I don't love Puff. I'm not like, oh my God, I'll never be able to listen to, Can't Nobody Take My Pride, Can't Nobody Hold Me Down again. Or, I'll never be able to listen to the D, the I, the D, the D, the Y, the D, the I, the D. It's Diddy. Hold up. I'll never be able to listen to that again. Oh, no. So that's the number one thing I'm glad about. I hope other people don't get caught up in it that I do love. Because, I don't think it's fair to implicate anybody that's been associated with Puff in any which way shape, or form and say, oh, these guys belong in the same thing as him. I don't think that's fair. So, yeah. Or anybody that was at a party. You know how many freaking people were probably at Puff's parties at different times, different days? So, that's what I got. I don't got anything else on Puff. It's a crazy story. I'm just glad I don't love him, because that would hurt. It would hurt if I loved him. But I don't. So good. I don't love Puff. Danny says Pharrell and Chad are going to court over the name Neptunes. Yeah. The Neptunes. I feel like this is somebody using Chad, to be honest with you. I think Pusha T said that on come on. Figure it out. Work it out. And let's be real. I know people like to say, Pharrell wouldn't be the same. Pharrell's the more talented one of the two. Pharrell is the more talented one of the two. Pharrell made freaking Happy without, and I know that might not be everybody's favorite song, but that is a monster song. Pharrell produced Ape Shit off the Carter joint. Pharrell got a production credit on the Beyonce joint, the Sweet Honey Buckin' song. Pharrell laced Pusha T's last album. So it feels like somebody taking advantage of Chad to me with dollar signs in their eyes. I hope it gets worked out. And I'm not saying Chad doesn't help Pharrell. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to shit on the guy. But this idea that some people put out there like, Chad was just, no, he wasn't. Pharrell is a trendsetter. Pharrell is an icon. Pharrell made trucker hats. Pharrell, one of the coolest motherfuckers I ever seen in my life. Let's be real about it. That NERD album, the first one, it's amazing. It's amazing. Shout out to Skateboard P. He's you're talking a legend. Sorry to tell you this, but just like Epstein, anybody knew him? I don't know. I don't think that's fair. I don't even think it's necessarily fair. I don't know enough about the Epstein thing either. But a lot of people can go to a big ass island or a big ass party, and not everybody's doing crazy shit. Sorry. These things are done behind closed doors or at late night or amongst a small circle. I'm not saying some people didn't know about it or some people weren't suspecting. Harvey Weinstein was around all them Hollywood dudes forever. Not everybody that interacted with Harvey Weinstein is guilty of what Harvey Weinstein did. Not everybody who, if you were on Epstein's list in the sense that you were participating in the actions that he was facilitating, sure. But if you happen to be at one of his parties or at the same party as him, just like Puff, everybody, is Taylor Swift implicated with Puff? I seen pictures of Taylor Swift with Puff. Obama? Trump was with Epstein. I don't think that's fair. I don't. What's up, Jose? He reached out to me the other day, checking on me. Appreciate, you guys are like my friends, not just my fans, right? You're friends to me. Checking in on me, that meant the world. Really, it did. I think it proved to me I did the right thing on that show. I felt people rally around me since. And I know with my talent and I know with your support and all that, my work ethic, everything's going to be fine. But you have your good days and your bad days, right? Like I said before to Jeff, to answer your question, I was not having my best day today. I wasn't sitting around crying or anything, but I wasn't having my best day. And then I, got up here and did this show. Now I feel better. And that's a lesson, right? Like it's the second time in a week I've picked myself up to do a show. Not in, Friday, a whole different animal than today, where it's just like, you sometimes, something traumatic happens to you. You got to live with it and feel it a little bit. And I was like, give yourself the grace of a day off. And then I had something to talk about. So here I am talking about it. R. Kelly, much harder to remove from my playlist than Puff. Yeah, I mean, look, there's also like, what do you do about Michael Jackson? And, I've seen stuff about like Anthony Kiedis and Steven Tyler. Some of it, like, just like scroll past. I don't read it. Here's the thing, like, and that's where people get at Hove, because he obviously worked with Diddy and knew Diddy, and then worked with R. Kelly. But you got to also remember, R. Kelly was the biggest R&B artist of the generation. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I mean, like, that was the anthem, right? The motive everybody. And after the party, it's the hotel lobby. And I mean, like, R. Kelly. It's not like he was just like some random dude. It was best of both worlds concept was Hove and R. Kelly. The best rapper, the best R&B singer. Not very good records, by the way. I think if you were to put Jay-Z on a polygraph, or I don't even think you need to put him on a polygraph, you just say it. He would not do those again if he could go back and make some career changes. Kevin Zwicker, this show turned into a conspiracy hour real quick. Yeah. Again, people love conspiracy talk, man. I was online the other day, and I saw Oprah come across the timeline, and I go to read the comments, and Oprah was looking good. If she's an older lady, she's looking good, right? And I see people say, like, Oprah's on that some letter that starts with an A, androchromonine or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, maybe that's like some form of human growth hormone that people are taking. I could believe that. I could believe that Oprah's on that. Let me look it up. And I look it up, and it turns out it's the harvested blood of children. That the Hollywood elites harvest the blood of children in order to create a concoction to help them stay young. And that is what people think Oprah was on. And I'm just like, what the fuck's wrong with people? Because I would have bought the other thing, like some sort of drug she's on. Some sort of it's on some sort of HGH or whatever. That would have been fine. I would have bought that. Then I'm like, the harvested blood of children. Are we serious here? What are you guys talking about? You guys are nuts. We got a lot of concurrence on today's show, guys. We framed the topic well, I guess. Or I've just been, I feel like I'm letting my guard down a little bit. And look, here's the honest truth of it. I'm fucking good at this shit, man. I'm an entertaining fella. I'm quick. I'm funny. I'm smart. I'm authentic. So thank y'all for rallying around me, but there's a reason you rallying around me too. Right? Am I right? Am I right? Pretty good. All right, that's what I had for tonight, man. I appreciate all y'all in here. Let me know. Hit me up any other comments. I'll get to them. I don't got nowhere to go. I don't got nowhere to bees. But I got nothing else I had on my mind. Like, subscribe, share, comment. I'll get back to your comments. I really like the way this looks on the wall. I really like the character it added to the shot. Not that this is like some awesome shot, but I like it now. Like if that was bothering me, it's like a little small change. Made a big change in my mind. Made a big change in my mind. So as far as the rest of the week goes, I am going to WrestleMania this weekend. Going to WrestleMania this weekend. We're not going till Saturday. I've got stuff in the afternoon tomorrow. Got a bunch of stuff in the afternoon tomorrow. And basketball at night. So if there's no show tomorrow, that would be why. But maybe I can sneak in an early show tomorrow. Possibility I sneak in an early show tomorrow. I will get at least one more show in before the week is over. I'll get at least one more show in, if not two or three. Who knows? I mean, like I said, I'm going to start firing these up if I'm compelled. But man, it's just nice to see you guys. Like and then y'all are here. Is there anybody here that like, are there specific times that just like you really like? Is this the best time? Is there other times that you know, people are just one thing I've learned is you guys will show up whenever I go, so that's cool. What do you suggest to somebody who wants to get into wrestling? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Okay. Here are some matches that I would suggest for people who want to get into wrestling and are not. Okay? And these are recent matches. A couple matches that I would suggest for you that I think would get you into wrestling and they're not the typical matches that like a wrestling head would share. Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar from SummerSlam. Not the SummerSlam that happened this past year, the SummerSlam before. So SummerSlam 2022. Roman Reigns against Brock Lesnar. Bad Bunny against Damian Priest. Bad Bunny against Damian Priest from WWE Backlash of last year. Johnny Knoxville against Sami Zayn from WrestleMania 38. That match is hilarious. Johnny Knoxville against Sami Zayn, WrestleMania 38. Tables, ladders, and chairs. The Hardy Boys against Edge and Christian against the Dudley Boys. WrestleMania 17. And then maybe just keep watching WrestleMania 17 and do The Rock and Stone Cold at the end because they're such big stars. That's my list for you. How's that? Anybody else agree? Those make sense? And then, listen to me talk about it. Because I really do like talking about wrestling. It's really a lot of fun. Really a lot of fun. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Share, comment. Kevin says, what do you think WWE does with Cody once Roman and Rock leave? I think once Roman and Rock leave, you know what I would do? Well, one, I think Rock is going to be back. I think Rock is going to be back. I think he has too much vested interest in the company now where he might be gone for a bit. So I think we will see Rock and Cody. Maybe it's SummerSlam. And then you have Roman and Cody. I mean, Roman and Rock. I'm sorry. Rock and Cody, and then Roman and Rock. In the meantime, I'd like to see a Gunther Cody program. I think it's time to move Gunther up to the main event level. And remember the Royal Rumble last year where he and Cody worked together? in that. So that's part of how I would look at it. How do you say your first name? Svin Storm? It is refreshing to hear others say what I've been thinking about Caitlyn. She is the best of all time. She's different, and I've seen those that came before her. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not hating on the other girls. I'm not. Caitlyn's just better than they are. It ain't. Again, Larry Bird had the self-confidence to say the same. When Michael Jordan came in, he's like, that's it. It's that guy. And that's Larry freaking Bird. You know, and that's what Caitlyn is. She's the Michael Jordan of women's basketball. She sees the game differently. Reminds me of watching Gretzky. Gretzky, he was 2 seconds ahead of everybody else. Yeah, I can't tell you about hockey too much. I mean, I know Wayne Gretzky was good. I can tell you that much. I'm firmly aware that Wayne Gretzky was good. but that's what I got for you on hockey. Gunther is losing his belt. It's set up. We'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. This was a lot of fun. Any more comments before I get out of here for the night? I'm glad I did this. Again, every time, you know, I'm feeling down, you guys pick me back up. You pick me back up. And then I realize when I get into a zone, in a flow like this is my element, y'all, right? And I'm talking about the stuff I'm into. And I know a lot of shit too. And I know when it comes down to it, you know, who's the nicest? Life will like this on these mic devices, and I don't write this, you know? That's Mike Jordan of the mic recording. Like that. I do feel like that sometimes. I gotta be real with you. Even when I'm down, like when I get into the rhythm and I go and like, you know, there's a reason I do this. And there's a reason you guys are here. And isn't it great when you have a beautiful marriage like that? Appreciate you, Ernesto. Appreciate all you guys, for real. For real, for real. In fact, I'll get this up as a podcast tomorrow. And hopefully I can do it tomorrow. And I think what I'll do is put the episode from Friday up as the first episode, and this is the second episode, and go from there. Maybe I could put the other ones in between too, but I don't know. This one feels right to me. You know, I had a couple others in between, but those were more me like still processing and everything and being consistent. Like, I feel like I'm back, baby, right now. Look, I'm even leaning back and doing this show. Chilling. And, you know, I appreciate you guys rocking with the stuff that I rock with. And being here on a night-to-night basis. So I genuinely love you for it. I love you. It's not that hard to say. You know, I hope, you know, you guys can support me any way you can. I mean, this is supporting me in and of itself, but tell people about it, share about it. If you're ever in a room with somebody you can advocate for, or you know somebody, or you got an idea of some place I would fit at, and you hit them up, do it all. You know, the AJ, who was from Chicago, was in here, and he sent me I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this. He sent me a really nice message on Facebook, and he referenced it to a donut shop that was in Chicago that was, I guess, like he just assumed was doing well, and then the woman who owned the donut shop put out a message saying she needed support or was going to have to close the shop, and then the donut shop people in the community rallied around it, and she eventually had to move to a bigger space because she got so successful. And he said to him, my show on Friday was like my way of asking for help, and maybe in some ways it was, because, you know, I will not lie and say I was doing well that day, obviously, but I wanted to, you know, pick myself up. I wanted to do what I've always done and power through and persevere. And I can't do that without y'all. And it is y'all that have made me realize I can do it. And will do it. Can is the wrong word. Will do it. Appreciate the Kevin, I really appreciate you, man. You're the best. You're here. I mean, there's other people too, like Ali and Ernesto are here all the time. And let me go through the chat. Savin Storm, whoever that is, I don't know if you've been in before, but if you haven't, welcome. Hope to see you again. DS Sai Sahande is in here quite frequently. Thank you. Jeff Schuster sent me a nice message on Facebook also. Thank you. DP37, female listener. Appreciate you. Jose Antonio Sabadar sent me a message checking on me the other night. Appreciate you. Danny Adams, you and I go way back. Appreciate you. Woo the pollster. Woo, we've fought on Twitter or X for many years. I appreciate you. Let me see. Anybody else that I'm missing? I'm just going to... AJ Schreiber, I just shouted you out. Appreciate you. Doug the developer. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody who is going to comment in after the fact, after I'm done here tonight, after the show is over. I'll get back to you. But thanks again, guys. Like I said, at least one more show, I would hope, this week. Tomorrow I do have a booked schedule in the afternoon and evening. So if there's not a show tomorrow, that would be why. Not because anything's bad. Just giving you a heads up now. But maybe I can run one earlier. And then if not, I will definitely run one either Thursday or Friday. If not, definitely before WrestleMania, before I go on the trip with Raj. Maybe Raj could do the preview show with me. He'd be happy to do. He wants his own YouTube. He does have his own YouTube channel. We just got to populate it now. It's like Rad Kid Reviews. I told him they needed a concept, so they're going to do reviews. All right, guys. See you next time. Same Robin channel.